Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If we haven't met before, my name is Taylor and I'm blind. On my channel I like to talk about blindness related issues, family, food, music, hair, makeup, books, pop culture, and all kinds of other random things that strike my fancy that day. Today I want to talk to you guys about how I make homemade chicken Alfredo. The first thing we're going to do is take a knife and a cutting board and cut 4 medium-sized chicken breasts into small chunks so that we can put it in a hot water and salt brine for at least 2 hours. Next we're going to take 1 block of Parmesan cheese, grate it on the second to smallest grate. You can substitute with a bag of shredded Parmesan, but trust me, the real cheese just makes it so much creamier. Next, we want to have the oven preheated at 400 degrees, and we're going to take a 9 by 13 inch baking dish, lightly grease it with oil or Pam spray, take our brined chicken that we set to the side and layer it on evenly on the bottom. Now we're going to give our chicken some delicious flavor with some seasonings. First, I'm going to measure out some garlic powder. I'm taking about a teaspoon, but really you can add as much as you want. Next, I'm gonna season with salt, and I'm just gonna pour the salt in my hand so that I can feel how much I'm adding at a time so that I don't put too much. After that, I was gonna shake the basil in all professionally for you guys, but that took too long, so I just decided to take a few sprinkles on the top. After the basil, we're gonna add oregano, and I was not playing around with this oregano. I really knew I wanted it to have that flavor, so I put a good bit in there, maybe like 3 pinches. Next, I'm adding pepper, and I literally just took the pepper shaker and shook it over the top because I didn't want it to be too heavy. If you notice it's falling on my hand a lot, I'm just doing that to orient myself so that I know where I am on the pan. After that, the next step that we're going to do is adding Parmesan cheese. I'm just opening the container that we grated up earlier and sprinkling a few pinches all over the top. After that, I'm taking a spoon and mixing it all up in our baking dish. And I just wanted to mention, definitely feel free to add any other seasonings that you like. Now we're going to take our baking dish and place it in the oven. Since I can't see the oven, I actually use the dish to find the rack, and I should wear oven mitts, but I like to live dangerously. And we're gonna let that chicken bake for 30 minutes. Next, take a medium-sized saucepan, place it on the stovetop, and set your temperature to about medium. Then I'm gonna take a half cup of butter, or 1 stick, and put it inside the saucepan. I'm also gonna add 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, but if you're feeling frisky, feel free to mince 2 cloves yourself. While those flavors are infusing together, we're just going to take our whisk and mix it all up and let that butter get nice and melted. We can't have Alfredo without pasta, so I'm going to take out another saucepan and start some water. I'm filling the saucepan about halfway for our pasta and setting the temperature on medium again. With our sauce, I'm actually going to turn the temperature down now so that everything doesn't cook too quickly because it needs to cook very slow. Now that we have all that melted, we're going to add 2 cups of heavy cream. And I'm just going to finish off a quart that I have, adding the rest of that, and I'm going to start using some from another pint to equal the 2 cups. But to make it simpler, you should just use 1 pint. And then you want to mix and whisk all that up together. And we're going to whisk this and stir it a lot throughout this process because it needs to constantly be stirred and it needs to cook very low and very slow. Now I know this pot has seen better days, but it's my favorite one for pasta and the water's boiling, so we're going to go ahead and pour in 1 box of penne pasta. Normally I use fettuccine, but I'm all out today. Let that cook for 12 to 15 minutes. Now we're going to go back to our sauce and our heavy cream mixture, and we need some cream cheese, but before we can cut it, I'm just going to struggle with this package for a little while because I have a really hard hard time opening things. Once we get the package open, we're going to add 2 ounces of cream cheese, and I'm not really measuring it out exactly. I'm just taking about 1/4, maybe a little more or a little less, and adding it to the saucepan. Now I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper. After that, we're going to take 1/4 teaspoon of salt, but again, I'm just measuring it in my hand, and you can always add more later. Whisk all that together really well, and we're going to wait for the cheese to melt completely. After that, we're going to add our last ingredient, which is Parmesan cheese, and I'm just going to measure out 1 really full cup and add it to the saucepan. And that's everything we need for our Alfredo sauce. Now we're just going to let that continue to cook on low, and we're going to stir it really frequently because you don't want it to scorch on the bottom. Also, we don't want it to boil, we just want it to come to a nice bubbling, and you'll know when it's done when you can feel with your whisk that it's thickened. Now I'm just going to fish out a piece of pasta so that I can taste it to see if it's al dente. Nope, not yet. I'm sure this won't come as a surprise, but we're going to go back and whisk our sauce again. Now I've tasted the pasta and it's all done, so we're going to go pour the water out into our colander. I just use the pot to line it up so that I know where I'm pouring. It's been 30 minutes and our chicken is done, so this time I'm going to wear my oven mitts because the baking pan is hot, and I'm going to take the chicken out, and we're just going to mix that all up and make sure everything's soaking up really nicely while we wait for everything else to finish and leave it on the side. And we are still whisking and checking in with that sauce. Not quite done yet, but we're close. It's a great time to pop in some breadsticks or some garlic bread. And yes, I'm cheating, these are frozen. Guess what? We're whisking again, but the good news is it's all done, so we're just gonna whisk it around for a second and make sure it's stirred up really nicely. And our breadsticks are done, so I'm just gonna dump them on the plate. Now everything is done, and we're gonna start making our plate of Alfredo. They say you're supposed to rinse your pasta off with cold water, but I don't want cold pasta, so I'm gonna skip that step. After we make our bed of pasta, we're gonna put our chicken on top, and since my husband's being my videographer today, he gets the first plate, and he loves meat, so we're gonna give him at least 6 chunks. And finally, it's time to put our delicious Alfredo sauce on top. And I'm just gonna take a couple of scoops and spread it out all evenly. And last but not least, I'm gonna top it off with just a tad of Parmesan cheese, and we're done. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, leave it a like, and comment below. Especially if you make this recipe, I'd love to know how it turns out for you, and I'll see you in the next video.